All right, we're going to go ahead and talk about these box plots. So what you had to do first on this was data was put it in order from least to greatest. And I guess I should have done that for you. So if you do that, then remember that your min, of course, is the minimum and the max is the max. But the median is that one directly in the center. So you're knocking off all the ones on the outer edge until you get to that median. That was 33. And then to get the quartiles, you basically are taking the median of each of those halves. So you take the left half and you knock those off until you find its middle, and then you get that value. Now, if you happen to have two values, so you had an even number here, and when you knock them off, you end up in the center, complete center, you would average those two values together, and that would give you the quartile Q1, 46, or sometimes you have to average with that. After you do that, you're getting your IQR, which is the Q3 minus Q1. So there we have it. And then to do your upper outlier fence, it's Q3 plus 1.5 IQRs and Q1 minus 1.5 IQRs for the lower fence. So remember, we're going to do scale, box, fences, whiskers, scale, box, fences, whiskers to graph this. When you do your graphing, if you do not end up containing the fences, that's okay. What has to be contained and what has to count in your data is the data set. So I need to make sure I go from at least 12 up to 67. Okay, I did not have to include the outlier fences. And see, in here, I do not include the negative, the lower fence. So therefore, I wanted to go from 12 to 70, or I wanted to go from maybe at least 10 to 70. So there I just decided I wanted to go by fives. Okay, so there's the scale. Then you do the box. The box is going to be I first put Q1 on there. You want to say that's the Q1 at 23.5. Then I put Q3 on there. That's the Q3 at 46. Then I put the median. And see, I'm putting these where they go so that things are drawn to scale. So that median is at 33. Scale, box, fences, whiskers. So fences, so 79.75, that is a fence that's up here. And what ends up happening is we do not have any data that is above this upper fence. If you had data above the upper fence, then you would have an outlier, but we do not. The lower fence is way down here at negative 10 point something. And so we obviously, our lowest value is 12. So obviously we do not have any lower outliers. To have a lower outlier, you'd have to have data, any data below the lower fence, which we do not have. So this one was basic, straightforward. Then you're going to go ahead and put your whisker to the max and your whisker to the min. Done. Making sure you've done your label, label, label. Label, label, label. This one was already in order. Interesting. So when we go find, so of course our min is 5, max 98. To find the, if I'm knocking these things off to get to that middle, then I think that I find that I have 2 in the center. And so remember that if you have 2 in the middle, then you're going to have to. So I have these 2 here at 85 or 85 and 90. So I have to do the average of those to get that median. And so that's what I have there. Then you're going to take these 5 pieces of data in the lower half, and I'm going to find the center of that, which was 75. That then is that Q1. Find the center of the top half. That was this 93 right here. All right. So then we're going to go ahead and get our IQR. Q3 minus Q1, and our fences following the formula. So let's see. I need to make sure that I include the data from 5 up to 98. So when I do my scale, I'll probably be going from 0 to 100, something like that. Okay, so well, it looks like there's 10, or I guess I didn't show that 0 very well. But anyway, so sorry, I didn't have it drawn to scale very well. Sorry. So then I went by those numbers because you don't have to have this 120 all the way up here. So I could have easily shifted. So the fence doesn't have to show if you don't have any outliers. The data has to be there in the scaling. Okay, so scale, box, fences, whiskers, scale, box, fences, whiskers. So here is the Q1, Q3, median. Look, label, label, label. I labeled them so I could see exactly what the value was. Now, then when I put my fence down here on, this is the lower fence, which is at 21. That's wrong. Hold on. Oh, sorry. 48. 48 is that lower fence. Okay, and I'll talk to you about that other one in a second. So there is our 48. So I have 2 pieces of data that are below that 48. So I know that each one of those gets its own representative dot. So those are going to be down there at 39 and 5. I labeled them. 5 is also the minimum. All right. Now, and then for the max, the upper fence 120 had no upper outliers. So therefore, I can go ahead and put my whisker to the max. So put those outliers on. Now, remember that when you do a whisker and you have outliers, your whisker needs to go to the next piece of data inside the fence. Do not take the whiskers out here to the outliers. Do not take your whiskers to the outliers. The whisker goes to the next piece of data inside the fence. So when I come up here, I see, interestingly enough, the next piece of data inside the fence is 75, which is my Q1. So therefore, I have no lower fence. I have no lower whisker. Sorry, I have no lower whisker because this is the next piece of data inside the fence, and that also is my Q1. All right, so there you go. That's what happened on that to make it kind of weird not having a whisker. That's how you might not have a whisker. All right, this next one is in place so that you can learn how to put larger data sets in the calculator. You definitely need to do that with larger data sets. I expect you to do that on this one and on this next one here. So here's how you do that. So in your TI calculator, you're going to put your data in list 1. I actually found that some people didn't know how to do that. The way that you're putting your data into L1 is you're going to go stat and then edit. Let's see. Edit. Okay, so that's your beginning place. Stat, edit, and that then gives you L1. So when I hit stat, enter for edit, there's my list 1. Okay, so I put all of the data in here. That is this problem. You do not have to put all of this data in numerical order. You can't have it out of order. That's one of the benefits. So when I come over here and I do this one, see, these are all out of order. It's okay. I can just put them all in my list, L1, and just keep going and put all of those pieces of data out of order in my list. All right, so once you do that, then you're going to go to stat, over to calc, stat, over to calc. Oops, I didn't hit stat. Here we go, stat, there we go. Arrow over to the calculate tab, and this is a 1 variable statistic I want to do. Everything is just in there once, so we'll talk about frequency lists later, so just leave that blank for now. And we're calculating. This gives us a ton of information, which we'll learn what all of these other things are in a little while. This N tells me that I put 30 pieces of data in. So that could be a way that you count how many pieces of data you put in. But down here starts the 5-number summary. So I'm going to arrow down, and voila, the min is 7, Q1 is 30, median is 46.5, Q3 is 77, and the max is 151. So there is how I got these pieces of data here. Okay, so then I went and did my IQR, found my fences, and with a fence at 147.5, somewhere in here, I found that 151 is going to be an outlier. So you're going to do your scale, box, fences, whiskers, but notice my whisker up here goes to the next piece of data inside the fence. So it goes to that next piece of data inside the fence is where the whisker goes to. All right, notice they're all labeled and drawn to scale and so on. And the last one. You put all this data into L1, does not have to be put in order. And so once I come up here, 13.5 is my lower fence. So I'm going to go see if I have any data below 13.5. And I do not, because my minimum is 21. So duh. And then upper fence is at 57.5. Well, my max is at 80. So I have at least one upper outlier. If I go up here and look, and I find all the ones bigger than that fence of 51, I guess, then I'm going to have 5 of those. So all 5 of these dots get represented. So when we come down here, see, all 5 of these dots get represented, and there was 2 61s. Then this whisker here goes to the next piece of data inside the fence. So I guess that 57.5 is the fence. I have to look at the next piece of data less than 57.5. So I'm looking, and that's 50 is the next piece of data less than 57.5. So that's where that whisker goes to. All right, that's how you make your box plot. And here is a free response question, which I'm going to end up going over separately so that we can look at the actual grading guidelines on it. Okay, so hopefully that helped you.